Hello, welcome back to SwansCast. So we did skip a week last week, we'll be honest, but we're back now to talk about, well, we've got a couple of games actually to address this time, but we're not going to go into detail about all of them. We're just going to touch on some key points and talk about maybe some important themes that might be emerging ahead of the close of the transfer window. And we'll go from there. So I'm joined with Lee today, so welcome back, Lee.
Hello again.
So yeah, I'll be honest, it's my fault we didn't do a video last week. We had my wedding and we were there, so it's been a bit of a busy week and
So selfish.
I know.
Getting married.
Yeah, well, hopefully it wouldn't have an impact on future episodes.
It was a good day though. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, and the Swans actually won on the day, so they got the win against Preston, which was a nice thing to have anyway, especially with the recent form, which obviously we're going to talk about more going forward. How's your week been so far otherwise?
Yeah, not bad to be honest. It's been a quiet one, I think. I don't think I've done anything this week. No, nothing. Literally working back into the office now, 2 days a week.
No.
That's it, I think. Nothing springs to mind. Boring at the moment. Still on a hangover from the wedding, actually. It took me a couple of days to recover from that.
Bad, was it?
Yeah, I was struggling. I was really struggling Sunday and Monday in work.
I was alright, actually. I wasn't hungover at all. But I guess get dragged around everywhere. I didn't even have a chance to have a proper drink too. So.
Yeah.
But that's fine because I had to drive to Bristol. So we went up there for a couple of nights, had a spa day. It was all good.
Lovely.
Our actual honeymoon got postponed. Meant to be going to Tenerife, but got that to look forward to in the next couple of months. But yeah, that's been my week. And then going back to work, which is always fun. But yeah, don't want to talk about work right now. So let's get into it. So as always, we're here to bring the most up-to-date discussion on Swansea City and the Championship in relation to Swansea City. So if you enjoy what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and leave a like on the video as well, because it helps to show us you like what we're doing, like what we're discussing, and also tells YouTube you like it, so you'll get to see more, and more people will get to see what we're doing as well. Also, let us know in the comments what you think. Why don't you let us know what you get up to maybe in your week as well, just to get a little bit of a community thing going on there. Anyway, let's get into the results. So there's 3 games that we missed since the last episode. So that is, we did get, as I just said, a win at home against Preston where we won 1-0. Obviously, both of us didn't manage to watch that game, but we know Ryan Manning scored a little bit of a belter. So I haven't got much to say, I'll be honest, on the Preston game.
I did watch like the highlights. Seemed like it was a bit better than Manning scored a screamer, in all fairness. I think we were just desperate for a win at that point, you know, absolutely desperate.
Yeah. No, Scott Sinclair played in that game, which is...
so he come off the bench, I think.
And Jay Felton again came off the bench, which is something that we'll probably talk about going into the other 2 a little bit more, because he didn't get that many minutes here. I don't think he got that many minutes in the game before, but it's as if it was a reintegrating of him into the squad, because if we move on from Preston and we go on to the next game, which is QPR, which I did manage to watch that one.
We've got so many games at the moment, I'm losing track. It's just game after game at the moment. It's mental with all the cancellations we had.
Well, the midweek game this week just gone was QPR, where we went away up there. It was one of the postponed games from...
Yeah, I think... Looking at before the QPR game, before this week, I was looking at all the games played and how many games in hand we had. And I think we were on the lowest amount of games played with another team. I can't remember who it was. So I think the postponements hit us, most than other teams, because we had loads of games to catch up on.
Yeah, and I think it's putting more of a negative atmosphere on our results as well, because, we did have a bad run of form, but every team has a bad run of form. But because we had some missed games as well, without the opportunity to correct our form, get some points. I know we got the games in hand, but you could lose them all potentially. But what I'm saying is, like, it looks worse in the table than it could be. Like, we'll never know what would have happened in them postponed games. But the fact that other teams have had the opportunities to pick up points where we haven't played those games yet, when we were in the middle of a bad run, I think it just looks a little bit worse. It's an unfortunate situation, and it's always worth remembering the bigger picture sometimes. But yeah, the QPR game. So we went away to QPR. Tricky game, this one. I don't know what you were expecting before it, but they were pushing on for, well, near the automatics at this point. If they'd won that game, they would have gone third. So we went up and got a 0-0 draw, and I thought that was a good result, to be honest.
Yeah, I was happy with that. Before the game, I didn't really give us much of a chance because I think QPR had won 4 in a row coming into the game. So I thought, I just thought we were going to go down, and we tend to not have great days at QPR. I think we won there last year, but other than that, it's been bad. Well, I know we had the 5-0 win in the Prem, but other than that, I think it's just been not a happy hunting ground for us.
Yeah.
But no, I thought we played quite well in the QPR game. I thought I saw a side to us that we haven't had for a while, where QPR are quite niggly, and I know we'll come on to obviously cards and everything which come off the back of that, but they were quite niggly early on, and I thought we stood up to it quite well. Downes got in the mix; he was physical. Latbodier in the first half on that side against that winger who was battling all game. Manning was physical. I thought it was a good, hard earned point on the road. I quite like that, and we nearly nicked it in the end as well. So I thought they played really well.
I'd argue, I think we were the better team, to be honest. But QPR were on 4 wins in a row in the league. They have since won the game after us after that match as well, where they smashed Reading on the weekend 4-0.
Yeah.
So that just says it all, really. They've got really good home form as well, I believe, stretching back further for the season. They've been quite hard. I think maybe only lost once or twice at home. So yeah, it was really positive to go up QPR and get a point. So in terms of the match itself, it's typical we had more possession, because without saying these days, 57%. But when I say I think we were the better team, there's been some criticism of our chance creation and ability in front of goal this season, and rightly so, I think. But in this game specifically, we had twice as many shots as QPR. They had 6, we had 12. And we also had 5 on target, whereas they only had 2. So it's not like we didn't create the chances, and this is an away game. And as much as we didn't score, and maybe we do need to be more clinical, those stats are good for an away game. You'd be happy with that in normal circumstances.
I just think that was a really good away performance in the Championship. Just everything you need to get points on the road, I thought.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, QPR also had some chances. They hit the woodwork. They probably should have scored from that opportunity. They had a couple more, I think maybe in the first half, right at the start. Hamer did make a couple of good saves, put in another good performance, which since Fisher's arrived, it seems to have given him a little bit of a kick up the backside, because he really wants to keep that place, it would seem. So, but yeah, there is definitely some stuff I want to discuss other than key moments. I just want to discuss some things in regards to maybe the team, and I think it would be a good conversation to start off with going into what will be the end of the transfer window, probably by the time this video is out. And on that note, we're probably going to do another video later this week in regards to a recap and discussion on the transfer window itself. So we probably won't discuss too much of that stuff today, just to keep you aware of what's going on in this podcast. But for me, you just mentioned Latbodier and physical side, right? And I don't want to be going in on him, because it's not him as a player or as a person. It's just where he's being used and how he's being used. And it just is not working for me. And a lot of our issues that both defensively and offensively, I feel like he's in a position where we've just got to get it spot on for this to work properly. And I feel a bit sorry for him, really. But I don't think he had the best of games. I think he was decent defensively, other than the fact he was up against a winger where if he was beat, because he hasn't got the pace of maybe what he should have for that position. So the winger knew that, and he was challenging him. And like you said, it got a bit physical. I think it got to the point where he knew he had to bring him down sometimes, because it was the only way to stop him, which you could say is good defending. But then when you look on the other shoe as well, when he's going forward, there were so many good positions he got himself into. I think even once he ran through on goal. But that decision-making and the end product after that, or the cross or whatever it is, it's just not there in his game. And it's understandable because he's a centre-back. But we're not asking him to be a left-back or right-back. We're asking him essentially to be that and a winger. And it's where we focus our attacks from quite often in his system. And that's what my big concern is. But I don't know how you feel about that.
No, 100%. We said it early on in the season, didn't we? when he plays in there, it just doesn't work. And I got nothing against him because I think he's all right. Like you said, defensively, I think he's quite tidy. But playing a centre back as a wing back, it's just never going to work. Like you said, there were times in that game and there were times in the Hull game, which we'll come on to later, where he's getting forward in those positions, and essentially you're asking him to beat the defender and get a cross in, or beat the defender and get a shot off as a wing back, and it's just not in his locker at all. And it is affecting us because the way that he's trying to play, Russell Martin, we're dependent a lot on those wing backs to actually create something and get in the right areas. And if you put in a centre back in there, you're just not going to get much return off it. And I do feel sorry for him a bit because he just seems a bit, especially in the attacking areas, he just looks a bit lost when he gets that ball and he's got to try and do something. It just doesn't work. And that's nothing against him, like we said.
Yeah. It's weird to see Manning still playing centre back and Latibody trying to.
I don't get this. See, I understand that he wants to play Norton and Manning there. Maybe it's whatever his idea is, and it has worked when he had Bidwell there. But now that we don't have a fullback, why doesn't he play Manning on as a wing back? It makes no sense to me. Because Manning is great at getting forward, and he's a great left foot to get crosses in and shots off, as we've seen when he scored. It just makes no sense to me, and I'm assuming we're going to replace Bidwell because.
Well, we have to surely.
At the moment, I can't see why we sold him unless they're replacing him because we're desperate for a wing back.
Yeah, I mean, it scared his wages off the books, wasn't it? Because he was running out anyway. So
yeah, but that's fine. But you've got to bring in.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. They need to get someone in. Speaking of left foot as well, Latibody cannot use his left foot, which is causing more problems again when he's in the crossing positions. But then, as a centre-back, you don't often need to be able to use both, do you? Unless you're being forced to play up on the wing. As for Manning playing centre-back instead of left-back, I think I completely agree there as well. We need centre-backs that fit in centre-backs so that we can free him up maybe to go on the left, or if he wants to keep him in the centre-back, we need to get a left-back in. But at the same time, when he has gone on the left, and we have played the current centre-backs who are at the club in the back three, we've talked about it before, they all seem a little bit too slow for what is expected of them there, especially when Manning is pushed up so far. That creates other problems. And when our bad form started, it kind of coincided with the fact that Bidwell dropped out of the team. Manning pushed up to the left wing-back role, and either Cabango and Bennett was with Norton, or Rhys Williams was there, and there was just a lot of gaps. And Manning,
that's been our main
problem. You can't really blame Manning because you've got to do both, but the centre-back is not able to cope without the support because of the way we play, and they're left exposed, and they haven't got the pace to catch up after being exposed. Like, quite often we lose the ball ourselves because of the way we play in a bad position, and the first thing we need to do is set up defense, get our shape back correctly. But the opposition, they all know this, and it's quite clear they all know this. They've got to be as direct as possible as soon as they win that ball back, get some pace running into these gaps, and that's literally where we're conceding all of our goals. And the centre-backs being isolated, that's where the problem is. So I think that's why he's flipping them, I think. But it still doesn't make sense. But then it begs the question why we still haven't filled that gap for me. We're nearly at transfer deadline day and the gap.
Yeah, well, we knew this has been the case all season. We've picked it out before. We always concede our goals in those gaps between the wing back and the wide centre back. We said it before. It was either sometimes Bennett and Led, they'd get in that gap behind Led and round Bennett, and the other side whoever Cabango and whatever. So I can understand why he put Manning there, because if the wing backs are caught forward, then Manning can sort of shift into a left back. He can do that if the wing back is caught forward, and that's fine. He's obviously identified that. But like you said, this has been a problem all season. He struggled to sort of fit in sometimes. I think Cabango and Bennett, and I don't know. It's hard to put him in. So why, like you said, why haven't we solved this problem yet? It should have been the first thing on the list. Did we need? And it may come good in the end, and I'm sure it will. But did we need a goalkeeper to sit on the bench? Was that a priority? That was the first one in the door. Was that important?
I gotta feel like he wasn't going to sit on a bench until Hamer decided to put a rocket up his ass.
No, but I just thought I know like Hamer made a couple of mistakes in December, so that kind of fueled we need a new goalkeeper. But I just don't think at the time it was a massive priority to have a new
I don't
goalkeeper.
think he did. We needed a new keeper, but then people were calling for a new keeper when Woodman was making a couple of mistakes last year. I just think
it's going to happen.
You're in the Championship. You've got to get used to a keeper that's not always going to be top quality all the time, and they're going to make some mistakes sometimes. Every team has got it at this level. So every time they have a couple of bad games, you can't just be asking for a new goalkeeper. Going back to even Mulder, like, is Hamer better than what Mulder was offering us, really? Like, is he? Is he that much better? I'm not saying... I'm not trying to knock Hamer now. I'm just saying, in terms of the quality of the keepers that we've had, no one's standing out as being this much better. Do you know what I mean? Like Mulder he was a really good shot stopper.
I think like Woodman only stood out because he was a very good shot stopper and saved penalties. But apart from that, there's not really much difference between them since Fabianski.
Is he starting at Newcastle now?
I don't think so. No, he must be like third choice now. I think
he did start some games, didn't he?
He started at the beginning of the season because they had injuries. But then is it Dubravka and Darlow, isn't it? So he's like third choice goalkeeper there now.
Let's have a look. I'll have a quick look while we're discussing. Yeah, he's not even making the bench.
Is it Dubravka?
Oh no, he is. He's on the bench. He's on the bench.
Oh, he is on the bench. Yeah.
So he must have got to number 2, which I guess is at his age. He probably is happy with that in the Prem, but he's got time on his side, doesn't he? I guess.
Yeah.
But we know you'd talk about Woodman anyway. But yeah, so that's for me is left wing back. I know we're going to have a transfer window episode, as I said earlier. So hopefully something gets addressed in the next day or two. I'll be concerned if we go into the rest of the season without a left wing back, and that's Latabodia's role for the rest of the season because
no,
it's just not going to work.
Well, but the thing is, even when this is why I'm not like too concerned about anything at the moment because it's still short in Martin's time, but they're just seeing the same things all the time. Like we're only seeing gaps in bad defending, if that makes sense. So we got in like before Christmas, which conceding goals for fun, like Reading ripped us apart and Andy Carroll did. Forest ripped us apart. And then we had a bit of a gap where we were quite solid against QPR. And then against Hull, which will come on, they just seem to cut us apart as well in spells.
Yeah.
So this is just a theme that hasn't been addressed, even though he likes to play, I don't know, man in or whatever we said, whatever centre back. We just haven't addressed the defending. We get absolutely cut apart by average teams.
Yeah, but there's a theme that I spoke about earlier on the season in the podcast that's happened again. But I won't talk about it till we get to the Hull game because I didn't realise it until I just saw it. I just remembered, because obviously we didn't watch the Preston game because we were busy getting drunk. I only just clicked that it's happened again. And it's not just the result, it's the performance, right? So even though we didn't win against QPR, it was good performance. And then it's a performance against Hull was very bad. That's what the narrative seems to be. I'll discuss it when we get there anyway. In regards to other key issues I want to address, though, obviously Latapodia is one of them, which I've been shouting about it all season, to be fair. Just before we move on, though, if we can't fix this position, what I would like to see, which I don't think is going to happen, but what I would like to see is him go to a back 4 and just drop that wing-back role. So the back 4 is already on the pitch. You've got Manning, Norton, Cabango, Christie. And just use one of the other guys, like you've got Felton and Walsh there. So just use one of those instead. And maybe have like that extra player be, I don't know, you could have 2 sit-in midfielders and 1 attacking with the wingers or whatever. I know it's difficult because we don't have wingers, so it would be the same kind of system up front. It wouldn't necessarily be as wide. But do you know what I'm saying? Maybe go to a diamond or something.
Yeah.
But I think we would get more out of it using those players rather than put in a centre-back somewhere where it's not working.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And just, yeah.
I guess it depends what they do in the window. If, like, you don't know what they've said. If they said, oh, look, you can have X, Y, and Z, I can understand that he's got his system that he wants to play and he's going to play that. That's fine. I can understand that he wants to do that. But it is getting to the point now where we still haven't got the players and we're in the end of January, and all season we still haven't got the players that can play in the system that he wants.
Yeah.
And I know he came in late in the season, but still, like, this should have been the first one on the list. We should have January the 1st. We should have had a player in the door that we needed.
I'll play devil's advocate here, and I'll say I feel like January's not gone the way we thought it was going to go in December, like even at the club. Just, well, two reasons really, mainly. Led getting recalled. All of a sudden, you've got to prioritise that position, which arguably is more of a concern than the left, because there wasn't a right back. If he's considering Norton as the main man in the middle, it was not a first team right back. Whereas at least we still at the time had Manning and Bidwell.
Yeah.
And the second thing is the whole Patterson situation, which is probably having a bit of a knock-on effect, because if he goes, you need to replace him, or like, okay, you accept that he's going, but you need someone to bid so that you can at least free up the money to use that to replace someone. It's not helping things, is what I'm saying. But like, I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just looking at the other side of the coin here and saying that obviously they've had the hurdles that probably weren't expected, and perhaps like they thought Felton was going to be not here, and that's some funds they were hoping to use. But and again, we'll talk about this perhaps more when we get to Hull. But he came off the bench in this game a little bit earlier on, so he came on for Wolf in the 66th minute. So this it's getting earlier, and this is what I mean about it seems like he's getting reintegrated into the team. He went on to start against Hull because of the red card for Downes, whereas he hasn't really kicked a ball for like 3 months before.
Yeah,
couldn't even get on the bench for the last couple.
Yeah,
something's clearly changed there. It was like he had a conversation with Martin earlier this season that by all accounts was told he could leave. That might still be the case, but why all of a sudden is he now getting reintegrated into the squad?
Yeah, no,
like,
I know.
Something must have changed.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and then
yeah,
I don't know. I agree with you saying. It just worries me how quick we were to get rid of people. Bidwell, Whittaker, Cullen, and nothing's really come the other way. I mean, we had a like-for-like replacement with Led, which was what we had to do. Like they did that pretty quick, so that was just 1 in, 1 out.
Well, I mean, you say Whittaker and Cullen. We've had Joseph back, which is essentially the same thing as one of those being.
Yeah, but he's not playing them, is he?
Well, he's coming off the bench, isn't he? In most of the games.
Cullen was playing quite a bit, wasn't he? I think we saw quite a bit.
I don't know. I don't think he was coming on that much towards the end. I think he's used Kyle Joseph exactly the same way that he was using Cullen.
Maybe we used Kyle Joseph as a wing back.
Yeah, but I think he has before, hasn't he? So
just put him there,
And Wolf as well has come in. So in terms of Whittaker and Cullen going, those two have technically there's two bodies back.
Yeah, Wolf is one though. He came in, and it seemed a bit strange. Was he? It seemed like a replacement for Patterson.
I'm not really sure because obviously Patterson's still not gone, is he? So he can't.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Patterson's gone, not when the transfer window's shut. So it seemed like they brought him in ready for Patterson to go. Because how are they going to fit it in now if Patterson doesn't go and Fulton doesn't go?
What Corey was the point Smith doesn't play Cam anymore, which is where my second point is.
Oh yeah.
Like that needs to stop happening right now.
Yeah.
Because it's just I got nothing against Corey Smith again, same as Latabodia, but he's not. He doesn't. What does he do in an attack? Unless he's in the right position where a pass is an assist. I'm not like he got one the other day, didn't he? I can't remember who he was against, but he got an assist. But like it wasn't like he played a magical split in through ball, really creative and stuff. He was just making a good run and he played the ball across for basically a tap in. It was when Downes scored.
Against Huddersfield, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I heard he had quite a bad game against Hull and his touch was really off. We saw him when we just watched the highlights, busting the gut to get back defensively, which, fair play, that's good. You always want players to run back and defend, but the defenders and the midfielders should be doing that, not the centre attacking midfielders, which just says to me he's in the wrong role. And it's obviously the bigger question to ask why the others weren't doing it. But he just, it is always going to limit our creativity having like him there and Latibodia there. And it is no coincidence to me that we're struggling to score goals with them in those positions.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. We may as well move on to Hull, and then we'll pick up Corey Smith again and everything.
So the last thing before we do, obviously Downes did get a red card. 2 yellow card incidents. One of them was a cynical foul. The second one, which he was lucky perhaps not to get one before.
Yeah.
For arguing with Charlie Austin. What did he do? Grab?
Yeah, I know like Charlie Austin probably brought on the second one in the end, but he was lucky to be on the pitch at that point because he had a niggle with Charlie Austin before that when he sort of kicked Manning in the face, and he should have had a yellow card for that as well. So they both should have walked at the end. And then he had another one then where somebody was sort of breaking, and he's just gone 2 hands to the back and given him a shove, and they didn't go down. But if they went down, that was second yellow. So I think it was definitely coming.
Yeah, the one he actually got the second yellow for, though, it was very clever by Charlie Austin. I don't think he should have got a yellow for it, but the fourth official basically, he didn't have a clue basically, and he just went with the easy answer. I was like, I don't know what happened, just give them both a yellow card.
Yeah,
basically, Charlie Austin had him in the head, pulled him on the floor, made it look like Downes had put him on the floor, essentially.
Yeah.
Which Downes couldn't get away from it, but then ended up getting sent off as a result. But
he was able.
He got himself into a couple of situations where.
Yeah, he was given the option to do that though, Charlie Austin, because he didn't get a yellow card for the other one, which he should have.
Yeah.
So he was able to do that, and then just coming back to that, then like I said about QPR being niggly, and there were so many fouls and yellows, and I saw like we had a bit of a backlash, like we committed so many fouls, and I was like, it's not the first time it's happened with QPR. They had a bust up with Bournemouth a few weeks ago as well, where they sort of fined both teams for not controlling their players because there was a bit of a bust up on the pitch. I just think QPR have always been one of them sides. They're so niggly. I remember they came down to Liberty one year and we drew 0-0, and they should have had about 4 men sent off, and Medorst of Rees got kicked in the face and like broke his jaw. And I think like Tate.
Was that when you had to wear the mask?
Yeah, that was QPR. They've just always been one of them sides. Always niggly, always just that's the case all the time.
Just got to have a look at the like both teams had 15 fouls in this game. We had more yellows, but if you look at QPR over the season, see the fouls are quite high. Maybe it says a story like.
Yeah, and we're not usually like that. We don't usually have about 8 yellow cards in a game.
Yeah, well, Martin did speak about the incident. He did say Charlie Austin was clever, but he also said like Downes should hopefully learn from it. Probably doesn't need to learn from it, which is fine. He's still young. It happens. It used to happen to Shelby all the time. Yeah.
But going back to that, though, that's what I liked about that performance. Like, we picked up more yellow cards than we usually do, more fouls than we usually do. We sort of matched that physicality that they brought, and we sort of, matched it and got a point as well. So I like that side of us.
Yeah.
They were up for it.
However, we didn't take that form when we went to Hull. It's quite a bit of travelling this week, but can't use that as the excuse. Every team.
I know. We had a bit of stick for only taking X amount of fans to Hull when.
Yeah, I had that off my Cardiff fan friend.
Huddersfield away, then QPR away in the week, and then not Huddersfield away last weekend. I mean, we had Huddersfield away.
It's expensive. Like, I'm not being funny.
I know how can just and it's it's not sounding like whinging, but we do have further to go than anywhere else when you got to come across Wales as well.
Yeah. 4.5 hour drive. The traffic's good, so to Hull. So like,
I've been to Hull before, and it is an absolute trek and it's a horrific journey.
Without you hit any roadworks and all that sort of stuff, especially on the way home.
Hats off to anybody going to Hull, and then people went. It was a massive following to QPR on a Tuesday night. Nobody said anything about that. That was a great following against QPR.
Yeah, but they only take the photo when it looks empty. Like, even if half of them are in getting a burger, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Doesn't matter. The picture's there then.
I think our following is outstanding, to be fair, for our fan base size. I think we've got an amazing away following.
And that's the other point, right? To all the Cardiff fans that like to say stuff like this, right? Before, I don't want to be told, look, I'm saying this now, we're the biggest team in Wales, this, that, the other. I'm not on about that. Geographically and factually, Swansea has got a much smaller population than Cardiff, especially when you include the surrounding areas. That factors in, for example, to why Cardiff might have a bigger stadium. It's quite common sense why that would be the case. So, in terms of how many people from Swansea probably go to away games compared to, like, for example, Cardiff, I'm just using them as an example because they're the ones giving grief. Geographically, it makes sense that maybe there's a difference there. If we're selling out a 20,000-seater stadium for a city of the population size of Swansea, that's a good achievement, to be honest.
Yeah. I think we've always had a class following, though. I always thought it.
And when you get Cardiff, who maybe sell like 22 or 23, 24,000 in the Prem or whatever they be doing, I don't think the difference of like the couple of thousand more that they are getting should be anything to brag about when they, as they say, they're the capital of Wales. They should have a bigger following. They should have more people to come and watch them. It's the capital of Wales at the end of the day. They like to brag about it, so own it at the end of the day. Yeah. Just saying. It's like saying if Newport or Wrexham got to the same league and all of a sudden, their fan base is following them similar levels to what Swansea have. Well, they're going to still be proud of the fact that they got a couple more thousand than Newport and Wrexham, is it? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, rant over. There won't be any Cardiff fans listening to this anyway. But yeah, the Hull game. So obviously we went away to Hull. Bit of a poor performance. Now, the thing I want to talk about in terms of the trend, I mentioned before, it happened twice in a row. I think it happened another time after, and it's happened again. So, and I don't use this as an excuse because you said at the time like that can't be used as an excuse. I completely agree it can't, but it clearly is a problem, and it's a problem that we need to address somehow. And I feel like it must be down to the effort that this playing style takes. And whether that all goes back to not having a pre-season, not having proper conditioning and fitness regimes done in the summer, which is still biting us in the ass. And maybe now the whole couple of weeks where we didn't really train properly for COVID has brought it back a little bit where they're not as fit as they should be. We'll only find that out, I guess, next season when we have a proper summer and hopefully can have proper training. Maybe it'll make a difference. But basically, 3 games in 1 week, 2 decent performances, a win, a draw, a QPR. I would say 2 good performances, yeah. 3rd one falls off a cliff. It's happened again.
That is definitely a theme, yeah.
It's happened again. I said it earlier this season when it happened 2 weeks in a row, and it's happened again. So, look, I understand people have said, I can't say that, it's an excuse. But when it's happened so many times, and it's always the 3rd game in a 3-game week, and it's not just the result, it's the performance that's completely like everyone's getting a bit excited again after QPR. We did well. And then it's like a completely different team. There's something in it for me, I think. Definitely something in it.
Yeah, like you said, it's probably fitness, but also our squad depth at the moment is frightening. I know we've still touched on what we need in the transfer window, but sometimes I look at our bench and I'm just like, who's going to change the game? Especially against QPR, I think. I know they've actually got a good point in the end, but when I looked at the bench, I was just thinking, like, what is going to happen? And sometimes you think, oh, come on, he's got to make a change, and then you look at the bench, and it's just, I don't know who we can bring on to make a change. So we kind of, Norton plays 3 games in a week, Grimes plays 3 games in a week, and they all, the distance they put in, it doesn't really change that much. I mean, when we try and do our fan hub prediction, what changes? It's only if it's going to be Smith, Wolf, or Cham as 2 out of the 3 in the middle. That's the only thing that changes. So other than that, most players are playing 3 games a week, and they will this week again.
Yeah. You're saying about the depth on the bench. One player who's been there since Christmas, essentially, since the Southampton game. Azim Abdullah, who I don't believe has made his debut, or at least hasn't made his league debut. We signed him from Leicester, did we? I don't know when we signed him, but he came from Leicester, their youth setup. I'll do a quick check. I've looked at him on SofaScore, and he's got some games on you with their Premier League 2 team. So I believe he came from Leicester, but like, I know he's a youngster who obviously must be playing were doing decent in the under-23s to get on the bench and whatever. But the fact that he has been on there for like 4 or 5 games in a row and not come on, it's just filling the bench up now, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, because we haven't got
and that links to your point. If he's not there because he's an option now, Russell Martin feels he can bring on to change the game, then that's concerning because he's just there to take a seat and it's like, oh, you can have some experience of being at the game or whatever. He's a midfielder, I think, as well. So when you've got like Liam Walsh there, if you bring him on instead of Liam Walsh, what's that saying as well to Liam Walsh? Or yeah, he blood in the youth, but Liam Walsh hardly kicks the ball. So
yeah.
But I guess if we do make 1 or 2 more signings, he probably would be the one that drops out. But if we have 1 or 2 injuries, I guess that's where the issue is going to be more apparent then.
Yeah.
Because who actually does come in?
Yeah, well, this is it. This is worrying because even now, like we said about Led before, what if Christie gets injured? Who's playing wing back?
Corey Smith probably, or Kyle Joseph perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. It's not good
I
enough.
mean, that Rashisha was looking about the first team for a while without actually putting his foot in the door. I don't know if he's still an option, but
he got injured, a bad injury, I think, didn't he? I don't know if he's back now.
Yeah,
I think he had a nasty
and we got
injury.
that Lincoln McFadden on the left as well. I don't know why can't we give him a go?
Yeah, why are you paying like a centre back at full back? Couldn't you give one of these boys a run out? I don't know.
Well, I think he has had a run out in a cup game earlier this season, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't see what the harm is. If you're going to have this Azim guy on the bench and he's not going to come on, whereas we actually haven't got a left back playing left back, can you put him on the bench and bring him on the last 10 minutes, see if he could actually play there?
But also, having said that, thinking about that now with Latipodia, if you think he can play as a wing back, why can't he play as a right-sided centre back? Like Manning does.
I don't know. You obviously don't trust him because you haven't used him as centre back. Like,
I think he played against Preston away, didn't he? As centre back, and I think he had a really bad game, didn't he? I think he should have given away a penalty, and he wasn't given. And I think he had a poor game. But I don't know. We're still playing him in the wrong position, and we went to Brighton, didn't we? And that thing with him and Corey Smith just doesn't work.
But when they're on the same side, it's even worse than now.
Yeah. And I feel bad for them because I'm not saying, because I think Corey Smith plays well when he plays in the middle, and I'd like to see Latipodia play centre back to sort of judge him properly. But playing those two in a like way you're asking them to attack, it's just standing out so much, you know?
Yeah. A couple of other points then. I think Grimes is consistently showing he is important in this system. He had a really good game against QPR.
Yeah, I will say something though. Grimes has been amazing for us, but on Saturday, I noticed a massive difference when Flynn Downes is not there.
But I think we missed him massively.
I know, but I think like having Flynn Downes there, I think that sort of asks a bit, a different question of Grimes, and I think he looked not lost, but I don't know, not himself on Saturday. But you can probably say that about the whole team.
Do you think he knows he's got that protection and it allows him to express himself a bit more?
Yeah. Because we have seen it this season.
Is he had a good game against QPR, but it obviously wasn't as much.
We have seen it this season where Grimes is, gone through the roof with his passing stats and creating chances and stuff like that. His stats are brilliant, but I think Flynn Downes enables that to happen a lot.
Yeah, but
we desperately miss him.
Fair play to Downes, but that's obviously how the team's set up, and this part is how he wants it to work, isn't it? So when it works well, that's what we want to happen. So, and if Downes is allowing that to happen, hopefully it can keep going good. It's just, I think I'm not worried about them in that as part of the pitch when they're both there. Yeah. It's the next stage up where we can't get that next ball is where most of the, I think, improvements need to be made. In regards to Downes, though, and obviously Felton is the one that stepped in to replace him. Obviously, you said we missed Downes a lot. Now, is that like saying Felton is not going to be good enough to do the same job, or are we going to have to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's hardly kicked the ball for the last couple of months?
Well, this is it. Fulton, he didn't have a good game on Saturday against Hull. He wasn't very good. You could say that across the board. I don't think anybody really played well against Hull, but you have got to take into the fact that, like you said, he hasn't kicked the ball for months and months, and then he's straight in to start a game. He's had a couple of appearances off the bench, but yeah, I think he needs a couple of games before we can start saying that's his Swansea career over. He should never play again. With some of the comments I've seen, I think that's a bit harsh, but yeah, we'll see on that.
Really saying that?
Yeah, I've seen I can see why they can see why Russell Martin's not playing him. He shouldn't be playing, stuff like that.
I mean, you saw it for the last couple of years. Every Swans fan has. They know what he can do. I don't think you can judge it off one game where the entire team's put in a howler.
No, we were all the whole team was awful on Saturday, so I don't think it's really fair to blame it on him.
Yeah, I mean, go back to the stats you said about the passing stats. Just something that we tweeted the other day I thought was quite interesting. Fair play for Flynn Downes allowing it to happen, but Matt Grimes this season in England's top 4 tiers has played the most passes out of any player, and it's not even close, which is for me the most amazing thing. 2,375 completed passes. That's not attempted passes, that's accurate passes. So people who say, like, I don't know, all the stuff they say about him, I just think it doesn't, like, you've got to be a quality player to put that number in regardless. Second place is Fulham's Tim Ream in 1,738. And then it's Kyle Norton actually in third, which is crazy. 1,653. Someone from MK Dons and then 2 Man City players. Now, also, though, I guess it does highlight the point that passing doesn't actually always get you what you want, which is obviously results. Man City obviously base their game around passing and keeping the ball, although I think those two might be a little bit lower because of Pep's rotation policy.
Yeah.
Which I will put that in there as well. But it does obviously say a lot about how we need to try and focus more on creating chances as well.
This is my frustration at the moment because we're guaranteed to have 60-70% possession and complete 4 million passes and all. That's great. But we don't do much with it. I know we had like a couple of shots against QPR, but we're never peppering the goal. We're never sort of creating too many problems. I don't think, not as much as we should be. With the amount of possession that we have, we should be creating a lot more. And I know we're desperate for creative players, but yeah, I just don't think we create enough. Whether that's because we spoke about Corey Smith playing an attacking role and that doesn't work. But yeah, I just think something's got to change in the long run. I mean, on the whole, we've got to be happy with what we've had this season so far. But I think if it carries on this way, I'm a bit worried about the way we play sometimes. We can have 80% possession, but then when teams actually come at us, they're cutting us apart, and then we're not actually creating anything at the other end.
So just to put the stats out there for the whole game, it was 66% possession, which again, I know that doesn't matter so much. However, which doesn't necessarily go against the narrative of what we've been saying, but I didn't watch all of the games, so I can't tell you the quality of these chances. But Hull had 5 shots, 2 shots on target, obviously clinical. We had 15 shots with 5 on target. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it does, because I just don't think we had a couple of chances. Like Obafemi had a good chance, the keeper saved onto the bar, and then there was one where Walsh, obviously, it was a lovely free kick and come off the post, and Perot probably should have put the rebound in, which just went wide. But apart from that, I can't think of a chance where I thought, we should have scored there. We had loads of chances, or we should have got something. It was only those 2 chances that really stand out for me.
So SofaScore saying that there was 2 big chances. Obviously, we missed them both, and that we hit the post twice, or the woodwork twice.
Yeah, so it's probably the 2 I'm speaking about: the free kick at the post and Obafemi.
Yeah, I don't know if the free kick would have counted as the big chance. Probably would have been the rebound.
Yeah, yeah. He should have put the rebound in. Just to pick something up with Perot as well. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad player overnight, but he's not playing that well. I don't know if it coincides with Patterson going out the team. He's not getting much service. It just doesn't look himself at the moment. I'm not seeing. I don't know. He used to come deep, didn't he? He used to come deep and pick up the ball and bring players in. And the QPR game, he was offside a lot. I just don't know if maybe Patterson coming out the side has affected that. He's not used to playing with Wolf. Maybe he's come in.
Yeah, I feel like Patterson they had a good connection. We obviously made that meme about it. They were assisting each other all the time.
Yeah.
So that's obviously been lost. I mean, for me, Corey Smith is not an attacker, so he's not getting nothing that side, and he's developing a new relationship with Wolf. So he's not getting the ball very much. He's not. And I think when he is getting a chance, he's probably snapping at it because he knows he's not getting many, a little bit. And the other thing is as well, he's just on a bit of a bad run. So obviously that, the longer that goes on, the harder it is. He needs to go in to try and snap out of it. But I think maybe, I don't know how much was in it, but it could be interesting because we're in January. And this seems to be when his form's tailed off. But Leicester was sniffing around, wasn't he, a couple of weeks ago, apparently looking at it. Wonder whether he knew anything about that, or his agent said something and it's just taking his eye off the ball a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. We're definitely not seeing what we saw earlier on in the season at the moment, whatever the reason is. Yeah, he could be right, because we were sat here this time last year when there was reports that Steve Cooper wanted to go to Palace, and we were like, oh, there's no way. And then our dip in form started, and we were like, oh, I wonder if it was because there was a bit of interest from Palace. I wonder if that had an effect on it. And then the bad form just continued until he left in the summer.
Speaking of Steve Cooper, everyone seems to be loving him again. I've noticed in the comments lately.
Oh, magically.
All of a sudden, he did a really good job with what he had at Swansea. He did really well here and all this, that, the other, which obviously wasn't the case when they all wanted him to leave in the summer.
Yeah, because he played terrorist ball and all that sort of rubbish.
And now everyone's, because we're leaking goals defensively, is saying that, as Steve Cooper did, he should shore up the defence first and foremost and then start playing nice, pretty passing football.
Oh, look at that. Imagine suggesting that.
I just find it funny how the attitude of a lot of people can shift all of a sudden just because of a couple of results, isn't there? Like, if you ask for something, you've got to be able to deal with the ups and downs of it, and maybe you also learn to appreciate what you've got, even if it isn't the most enjoyable thing all the time.
We've still got a long way to go with this. I mean, we said all along we were going to have dips like this all season, but we can obviously point out where we think we need to improve. Long way to go.
4 months into it? 4 months into the project? Like, it's not really that long.
Yeah, plenty of time left.
4 or 5 months. So, yeah, like...
Another one, though.
Proper criticism, I think, from next season for me, but yeah go on.
Another one, and Cham frustrates me a bit, because I don't know if... I think that he's not fit. I think that he didn't have a pre-season. I think we had him on a free. I don't think he was training with anyone before we signed him. He's sort of in and out of the team. Like, he plays a half and he comes off half time. He's on a niggle, and then he's out for a week. Then he's out for a game, and then he's back in, and then he starts for a bit. And it's just frustrated for me at the moment. I don't think he's 100% fit, but also I know he gets a lot of plaudits, because I think, like, to be fair, when he does like come off the bench, like against Hull, he does inject a bit of energy into the game, but then it doesn't really do anything for me. Like, I know like a lot of people like him, and I do think he's a good player, but I'm just not seeing it for me at the moment. But I think it's because he's not fit. But like, I know he scored like the lovely goal.
Would you notice if he was in the team instead of Corey Smith, though?
Well, this is it. I don't think so, because I know he scored the lovely goal against Luton, and he scored a couple of goals. He scored like a goal against Peterborough, I think. But apart from that, has he done anything?
Yeah, well, Corey Smith's never scored.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'd like, well, yeah, but what are we asking him to do?
Maybe he's just...
I don't think he's fit. So I'm not saying. I think he's a guy. No, and again, I'll caveat it. I think he's a quality player. I don't think he's 100% fit, though. We're not getting the full 100% out of him, I don't think.
I think what you're saying is, like, you can see he's a good footballer when he's playing, but you don't really know what he's being asked to do or what he's meant to be doing on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But, yeah, and that's why it's frustrating, because I think we've got one hell of a player there, and I think it was a great signing.
He can get out of a tight position when he's, like, triple marked really well, I've noticed a couple of times. And
yeah, and he does bring a lot of energy, but then, I don't know, I'm waiting for more, because I think I can see that he's got it.
I feel like that's quite similar to most of the team, because there's such a focus on, like, pass. The thing that is mainly missing for me to allow players like Cham to have a bit of space to do something is pace up the wings.
Yeah.
Stretch the game. It's all quite narrow sometimes because we don't have anyone there unless the wing back's there. Christie probably does it a bit. like Led used to do it a bit, but you're not going to get it the other side. So it's quite narrow, and they obviously go in sideways. And often, if we're having 60%, 70% of the ball, you haven't got much time and space to use it because the chances are the opposition is defending against you all the time, quite deep in their half. So you're either passing it around your back 4 or 5, or when you get forward, it's like a 1-2 or try and move, make a bit of space, pass it back to the person that passed it to you and so on, which is fine. That's the style of play, but that's probably why we're not necessarily seeing what he can do, because you're giving him the ball probably on the edge of the box and he's marked, he's got to give it someone straight away. Whereas when we have the opportunity to run at the teams, we haven't got the pace to do that effectively, where he can maybe be on the edge of a box and do something.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think, and it comes back to your point earlier about a pre-season. I don't think he's fully fit.
No.
And I think when we were training, when like Cooper was still here, I don't think he had a club.
Where was he last time? In France?
He was Celtic, wasn't he?
I think he was Celtic before. I think he went to like
Celtic. I thought Celtic released him, and then we signed him.
I feel like I know he did play for Celtic, but I think he went to Marseille or something.
Ah, okay.
I'll have a look now quickly, because he is French.
Yeah,
so it's not like we'll check. I might be wrong. Correct us in the comments, obviously, if I'm wrong. Yeah, he was on loan from Celtic last season at Marseille.
Ah, right. And then Celtic released him in the summer.
I feel like from January, because it says 2021, he must have gone on loan in January. But he only played 4 times in Marseille, so he's probably hardly played.
So we're talking even longer then. We're not talking just the pre-season. We're talking he played 4 games last season as well.
I don't know if he got injured when he got there, actually. No. It was carnage in Marseille last season, wasn't it? With Andre Villas-Boas and all that on the board.
Yeah.
I think they brought him in and he didn't want him. Basically, yeah. That's what I was saying on, Wikipedia. But I think I remember there was a bit of carnage.
Yeah, so essentially he hasn't really played for a season when he came here without the pre-season. So it comes back to my point. I don't think he's fully fit. And it is frustrating because we're not getting the full potential there at the moment. But you can see it's there.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's annoying to keep saying it and it's annoying to have to wait and all this, but I feel like we kind of are waiting for next season to start a little bit.
Oh yeah. So I think if we get it right, like if he gets it right now and in the summer, and he gets the players that we've talked about that can fit into the system, and and players like Ncham are fit, it's going to work, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no doubt it's going to work. You can see it.
There's a few things to iron out and sort out, but we are, you do hear other clubs that we play against. They always praising how hard we had to play against, how hard they had to work to get the result. And look, there clearly is ways for them teams to get the results at the moment, and it's not nice to see and it's hard to take, but the foundations are being built, and you work on the other things over the course of time. Hopefully, if you can get them sorted, it's just going to mean for a better future. And then while he's here, it is a game of patience, and sometimes the best things do come to those who wait, because there has been several cases where managers they come into a club in the Championship, or even in the Prem, they've had a year where they don't look like anything special, and then all of a sudden the next season they're like world beaters. I'm sure Daniel Farke at Norwich had a similar thing, or Thomas Frank at Brentford. Like, he was not great for the first I don't know how long when they started. Like, they had a really bad run, I think, at the start of his tenure, but turned it around. So maybe done it a bit quicker, but I think their project, as much as it wasn't just under him, Brentford now, has been for a while. Like, they were making stars, getting them from abroad, making them, selling them for money, buying another cheap star. But they were doing kind of under the radar for like a long time until they finally got up and went up to the Premier League. But it took them a while. They had to be patient. It's just the start of what could be a similar process, with obviously different process, but you've got to be patient. Yeah.
But he's got to sort the defence out first.
Yeah.
Because throw my head in the goals that we leak.
I don't know if he's going to... We'll have a conversation about the defence again when we know the players that are fully involved for the rest of the season. There has been a sign-in today, but we're not going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it in the next one. I don't know. It's literally happened as we clicked record, so I don't really know enough about him to have an opinion. So I'm not going to talk about it now. But yeah. Anything else before we wrap up then?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered quite a lot there.
Yeah, more of a general discussion than focused on
just having a moan about what we need in the transfer window, I think.
So before we do wrap up, obviously the next game is against Luton at home. Had a good 3-3 draw the last time we played them up in their place. I say good because we came back from 3-0 down to rescue a point.
Yeah, that was class. That was no fair. That was brilliant.
Which Cham actually scored in that game. So
scored a screamer. So I want that. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, so we're back at home. Hopefully we can get back to winning ways. But obviously I spoke about the concern of having multiple games in a game week. It's a continuation, isn't it? So there's another midweek game after the third one, which I thought, in my theory, we can never manage 3. Essentially, it's turning into 4 and then 5 when we play Blackburn next weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what Swansea turns up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to be the same side, I think, that we saw on the weekend. Maybe with the tweak of Downes will come back in.
Maybe Cham will come in for
Maybe
Smith.
Cham will come in, hopefully. I want to see, I think, Obafemi start with Perot. Because I think it could work. I think Perot could come a bit deeper. And Obafemi's got a bit of pace to get him behind. I mean, I don't really know what's going on with Obafemi as well. He seems to have a run in the team and then he's out again because he does something. Wasn't there someone against Preston that he walked down the tunnel and deleted his Swansea pictures off Instagram or something?
Yeah, because he didn't get brought on though, wasn't he? That was just having a strop.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it seems to be a bit of a theme with him that I don't know. There was discipline issues with him, and then he had a run again, and he was out again, and now he's had a couple of games off the bench. So hopefully, I'd like to see him get a start with Perot. I think it could work because when he came on against Hull, I will say I think he played quite well when he came on. He had a chance, and the keeper saved onto the bar. He had another one when he got in behind. I think he's got a bit of energy up front. He's got that pace. Perot is a different type of player where he's more smarter on the ball. He's not, running pace and taking on players. So I think it could work with Perot coming a bit deeper. Obafemi running on behind. Maybe that would work. Obafemi, Perot, and then Cham, maybe. I'd like to see that.
And Cham behind them, like the two of them.
Yeah, and Cham behind. Or even if Perot just comes a little bit deeper. So it's sort of like Cham and Perot together and Obafemi running behind.
Could be interesting.
I'd like to
see it too.
But this is what we're saying. Like, he's experimenting elsewhere where he's playing like Latipodia out of position and Smith. We haven't seen other experiments, like play 2 up front.
To be fair, Perot played in the friendly under Steve Cooper right at the start of the season as a cam.
Yeah.
So
who knows what would come of that? But that's what I mean. Like, we're still trying. If he wants to stick with the formation, that's fine. If that's what he's sticking to, but maybe just try. Like we said, drop Perot a little bit deeper, play Obafemi, play Kyle Joseph as a wing back one game. I don't know.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be coming back. Well, the next one will be about transfers, and then hopefully we'll be coming back to talk about some better results and performances. So on that note, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments who you want to sign before deadline day, or obviously this will probably go out after. So let us know if you're happy with who was signed, and then we can obviously talk about that in the next episode. What do you think we're missing, and how do you think Russell Martin is doing so far? So let us know in the comments. We shall see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and like. We are trying to grow the channel and get to more people, get the conversation a little bit bigger. So thanks for everyone who supported us so far, and we shall see you in the next video. So goodbye.
See you soon.